What are you doing? Please stop running. Okay, what? No, great. Wait, why? What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Ben, and today I'll be reacting to the Acolyte episode 4. Now, the last episode was certainly something. It has been a week since I've seen it, so I'm a bit more calmer than when I was originally watching it. Definitely my least favorite of the episodes so far, and basically what I'm hoping for. I want to find some enjoyment from watching this show. Last episode, it made it feel like it was just on a downward spiral. But I'm hoping, since that was set in the past, I'm hoping that hopefully this episode goes back to the present, because those episodes were a lot better in comparison. So I'm hoping I just get to see the characters in the present and just get a better feel for the show to contrast episode 3 and to give myself a bit more hope for the show after that. I guess the biggest takeaways from that episode, just trying to ignore the bits that confuse me, is that we learn about May's past very quickly. I'm surprised they did it in episode 3 and not wait till like the end when then that's a big reveal. Seems weird that they put it forward, but anyway. We get to learn that May is kind of a psychopath, so that's pretty evident. She set a fire, tried to kill her sister, said that she was going to kill her sister, but then so I'm not sure if I'm meant to be sympathetic towards this character then. She seems very hurt and emotionally complex from what we've seen of her, where she's nearly in tears, or she's very emotional when fighting the other Jedi that she's trying to kill. But the flashback basically proved that she is a little psychopath, so that's interesting. And then we get to learn about Osha and Sol's history, and it's very clear that Sol has basically saved her life twice. And episode 1 is a callback to him saving her from the fall because he saved her again there. So it's that sort of relationship where he's saving her, and I don't know if it's a life debt sort of thing, but it's clear that their relationship is very strong and it's one of trust, and that Sol will go out of his way to protect her. I think what I'm hoping for this episode at least is to get some more on Osha, because we've gotten plenty on May now. Load of it. Psychopath, we got her whole desire to kill the 4 Jedi, got a load of that. Now we just need something for Osha, because the only thing making her different from May is that we have more on May. I want to be attached to these characters, but this is like the halfway. This is episode 4. This is halfway through the show. I'm still not attached to the main characters. So that's a very big problem, and that's something I'm hoping gets solved sooner rather than later. Yeah, if we're going back to the present, I'm assuming that means they'll be going after the other Wookiee Jedi. So I'm looking forward to that at least, because I want to see a Wookiee Jedi. That's like one of the biggest draws for me for this show, because ever since Hu Yang mentioned Gunji being like significant and being a Jedi and a Wookiee, that seems awesome and interesting. So I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing that if this episode is it. I don't know if it's going to still be in the past or if we're going back to the present. I'm hoping for the present, just to get out of what the past did. Yeah, as always, if you do enjoy this video, please remember to like and subscribe, as it really does help the channel to grow. And if you do enjoy my content and you want to help support the channel, I do have a Patreon, the link will be in the description. Over there I'm uploading these videos and the full reaction a week in advance. If that's something you're interested in, feel free to check it out. With that said, let's just dive on in. Okay. So I'm assuming we're back in the present. That is good. Goal for this whole episode, I guess, is just to have a more positive outlook. I feel like the other 3 weren't so great, but I want to see the positives in this show. I want to find enjoyment from it. Okay, Wookiee Jedi, so we're getting stuff on you. Please. Please be a bit more memorable than the other ones. That's what I want. Just give us something where you get something more to do and make me feel bad if you end up dying. Is that yin and yang symbol? What's he drawing? Is that the symbol on the May's head? Is that what that is meant to be?
Keep each movement tight, yet subtle.
Yes, I also do now know that Jackie is not Yord's Padawan, which I thought she was. She is Sol's new Padawan. So that relationship has been corrected for me.
You're not staying?
I've done what I needed to do. Prove my innocence, clear my name.
I was just doing my duty.
Yeah, so you're leaving, but the Jedi are still going to be after Osha. Why not just stay with them? So you're going to go separately, or are you just going to ignore that she's alive now?
I mean, you must be curious after all this time.
May is the Jedi's problem now, and I'm not a Jedi.
Okay, so not wanting to go after her and ignoring her existence.
Someone must find May before she does any more harm. But it's not me.
I get it, May is more dangerous, she's not on that level of force, so yeah, she wants the people more capable to go up against her to do it, but then I still figure May wouldn't attack her or kill her. She probably has the best chance of getting through to May.
I've caused him enough trouble.
Now I get it, she's guilty. She feels, okay, this is a bit more on Osha then. She feels guilty, she is clear that she understands that she's not the best person to go after her. This is something. This is something for May's character. That is good. Something about Osha's character, not May. I'm going to get confused with names again.
I know bounty hunters won't set foot in these forests.
Oh, but you have.
The clumsiness is over the top for him. He had a darker side when he was talking to Osha. Now I just feel like all the klutziness is like, it's just a show. Running theory for him might be multiple personality thing. Because yeah, May doesn't know who the Master is unless they can somehow mess with her mind. But it seems like the Master was hiding. She hasn't seen under the helmet. So she doesn't know who the Master is. But this guy obviously has a relationship with him as well as Osha and is in on all the secret city stuff.
You made a deal.
There's 3 hours of sunlight left. Let's get going.
Yeah, so kind of guessing that maybe this guy doesn't even know himself and the darker side sort of takes over. That would, I guess, allow him to stay hidden and at least present 2 different identities to May. But it seems very almost obvious that this character is the guy in the helmet. If it is like that character specifically or another personality.
Her emotions guide her every choice in combat.
Yet there is skill there.
Is that Mundy?
An apprentice who doesn't know their master. It's absurd.
Different guy, different voice.
Yet she eluded you, and she killed 2 Jedi Masters.
Why are you including Soul's face in that? He's wanted too.
The May targeted these 3.
4, including you, Soul.
Okay, he's just not including him in the hologram because he's there in the room.
Turns up all these years later, trained by one of our own. You think a Jedi taught her? Even a hologram can tell me that.
Interesting. So, okay, a bit on the Master then.
Obliged to inform the Senate. A scandal like this would inspire fear and mistrust.
Okay, so already the political stuff coming into it 100 years earlier.
16 years ago. Why didn't you tell me there was a chance this poor girl survived?
It seemed very obvious that she was dead.
No one could have survived that.
There's a lot of emphasis on the Mundy-looking guy. Is it Mundy or is it like an older other species? Because I feel like Mundy seemed kind of young. I was almost expecting like Yoda or Terrace Nube to show up in this. Mundy seemed younger. Those 2 seem like the oldest ones that could be alive 100 years ago. But even Mundy's cool.
And Holden neutralizes her.
It won't come to that.
Then the whole master will truly be lost to us.
Okay, bigger picture. Good.
Surrender without getting something in return.
Do we have something she wants?
Oh, sure. And that's going to bring her back into this. Okay. Because Soul wants to to have her here. That's what he wants. It's kind of nice.
You engage unarmed, but can use their saber if you disarm them. Is that cheating?
So now he's helping her think through the challenge.
You have to kill the Wookiee without a weapon. Your master wants
What
you
kind of
to...
deal did you make with him?
I just owe him. You know how he is. He collects people.
Interesting.
Never seen his face. Have you?
You know I haven't. Oh, look. There it is.
Okay, no, I feel like this guy is just the Master.
She seemed really fond of that one Jedi Master. What was his name again? Soul?
I feel like he's just trying to be overly klutzy. That's it. Like, what was his name? It's like, you obviously would remember that. Just seems, it seems like he's trying too hard to try and throw you off the fact that this guy is the Master. You haven't seen the Master at all yet, and he's just been there with the main antagonist.
I need you to come with me on this mission.
You want me to rejoin the Jedi?
Not officially.
But if it was officially, would she say yes?
When I told May you were alive, her eyes softened. She became a different person.
Should have just brought her out in that moment.
There is still good in her. The part of her that loves you.
She's a murderer.
Yeah, okay, I do like this back and forth, but I like Soul's optimism.
The Order stationed Master Kalnaka on Kofar, but no one has heard from him in over a year.
So very quiet. What is that?
What's Basil? Is he or they with us?
I mean, it's on the ship, so I'd assume so.
No, very comprehensive briefing, Yord.
Okay, so far a lot of this just feels very random. The weird little creature, hopefully that's set up for something, but just, I would have preferred to hear Yord stuff, because we still have nothing on the rest of these other Jedi to feel attached to them.
We're looking for a Wookiee. He's big and hairy.
We're gonna get more on you now?
Well, it's actually the property of the Jedi Order, so I'm afraid I'm going to have to insist that you hand it over.
Okay, so you're still annoying. Great. Not anything good coming from you. And you're an unarmed civilian in a dangerous place.
The locals say he ventured off into the forest and never came back.
You sense him. You've been doing that a lot recently. I've been quite liking that.
Kalnaka is in there.
Yeah, great. I do love that he has that sensibility. It feels like it's very much more powerful than a lot of the other Jedi that we've seen. Okay, so that's your tracker then. So that thing will go and find him.
Okay, well, if you're upset I'm on this mission, join the club.
I'm not upset. I am concerned for your safety.
Okay, that's something, but you're not really showing it as concerned. You're just showing it as annoyed.
But if it comes to it,
and she doesn't listen to me. You need to stop her. I won't be able to do it.
Okay, adding something to him, doing the necessary thing, taking down... Okay, that's better.
May has always been your wound. Maybe Sol brought you here to face her, but maybe he brought you here to face yourself.
Okay, so no, you're not going to do it, you're making her do it, so that's still nothing for you. So if it comes down to it, Osha has to do it instead. I mean, it's kind of good for Osha then, I guess, but you're playing with a lot of characters and it just feels iffy. I do like it though that it seems like it's a race between the two groups. These guys are trying to get there first and then the other Jedi are trying to get there as well. And that is what I wanted. So you apparently owe the Master something. Looking forward to finding out what that is. Honestly, right now it feels like you're leading the way to it. You're encouraging Mate a lot. Is your like repayment just... Yeah, your repayment is basically guiding his own student, making you a teacher, and then the Master. Even this, it feels like you're the Master.
He says there's something wrong here. Something rotten.
Great.
Keep up the pace.
So something died around here. That's lovely.
We don't know. And we don't want to know what lives out here.
I can't tell if I like this creature or I don't. It feels weird. I don't think I like the humanism of it. It would just make it more animalistic, make a little dog maybe. Giving it with 2 legs and stuff, it feels odd. It feels like a tracking hound that sort of... Oh great, those things. Oh, they're giant bugs. They're giant roly-poly bugs. Oh great. So we have actual roly-poly, biological roly-polies, not just the machine roly-polies. Great. Oh, they're all giant. They're giant. And you're sticking around? Run. And that thing flies. Great. What are you doing? Please stop running.
Stop!
You're surrounded by this. All of it. Oh, that is nasty.
Stand down.
Do they realise they're like all around you? Yep, great, that's one of them, but there's so many.
Let's move.
And keep it in the group, not at the back.
I was able to sense that creature, but I disturbed it, and now it's dead.
Okay.
Although you've had more experience with death than I have.
Well, I could never accept death as a true Jedi should.
You're a true Jedi.
Yeah, I feel like we're getting something on Osha here.
The resentment that I felt for my sister, even though I missed her at the same time.
Okay.
We're not defined by what we lose. We're defined by what we survive.
Okay, nice, good, yeah. But now, yeah, but she is defining herself by what she has lost, so that is something for her to move forward through. Okay, this episode is good in this building up Osha. Still not really attached to her at the minute. Don't know if that's like writing, directing, acting-wise, but there's just nothing there for me. But at least it's building something on the character. At least it gives her a goal. We now get an idea of the arc.
I'd like to rest for a minute, if that's all right with you.
It's not, but okay.
Why isn't it alright for you? What have you got going on?
He calls it the final lesson. Your final lesson is when you teach yourself. You will kill a Jedi without a weapon.
So is that why you're not doing it? Because you don't want it to be the final lesson?
It's not a test. It's impossible.
It's not impossible.
There we go.
You know that.
You're the Master.
You need rest. You're losing your nerve.
Pushing her forward, encouraging her, basically guiding and teaching her. You're the Master. I'm starting to even think that it might not be that you don't know it. It feels like you know it. You just do that to get rid of him? So yeah, that little scene, it almost displayed a bit of maybe honour within her, saying that how can you kill someone unarmed? That line.
Attacking a defenseless person goes against everything the Jedi stands for. How do you kill someone like that, unarmed?
That just feels odd. She's a psychopath. We've seen it in her childhood. If they're trying to change that, feels weird or make her think, oh, does she value life? Psychopaths don't. She tried to kill her sister with fire and was very fine about it. They don't value life there. And like the life of her sister as well. These are just random people that she even hates. Yeah, she's still seeing like the difficulty. I'm hoping it's just her thinking it's impossible, not just a whole honour thing. Okay, so she trapped you. This is too bumbling. This is too much, buddy. You're not convincing me.
You were wrong. Osha being alive changes everything. My loyalty is to Osha, not your master.
Okay, what? Positive outlook.
Surrender myself to Kalnaka, and then turn myself into the Jedi.
No.
Really?
Stop.
That's a huge shift.
The Jedi will put you in prison.
Not after I tell them who I know.
Okay, so yeah, she has a point, but this has just come out of nowhere.
He'll kill you.
He'd have to find me first. And I don't know if even he could make it all the way over here without a guide.
Unless it's that guy. Okay, so this is a big shift. So she wants to be back with Osha, not kill the Jedi that she blames for it all, but she doesn't blame for them. That's just the test, even though So who decided it to be these 4 Jedi? The Master or Osha? Not May. Oh dear. So that's a huge shift from psychopathic May to coming all nice and such.
What is it?
It's nothing.
It's never nothing.
You wouldn't let me confront my own Olega,
You weren't ready.
but I'm ready now.
So you're the reason that she wouldn't do it. That's just annoying.
Once we get May safely to the ship, I'll explain everything. I promise.
Okay. So you got keeping secrets? When I get it, there's something you got to work through. There's very much more Osha's dilemma. Okay, so you're going to turn yourself in then. And you've fallen. I don't like this creature.
Hey, little buddy.
He's found May.
Like the whole little buddy thing as well. So is she's definitely getting more to her character, but it's not in line with what we have seen. You just flipped into turning yourself in after killing 2 Jedi, and the whole Torben thing. That was a very personal death. All of these have been very, very personal. To flip completely and just let sort of it go seems odd. And we're telling of this scene, that confrontation. To sleep. No, great. Wait, why? Okay.
He's here.
Wookiee Jedi is dead. Lightsaber, and you just said he's here. Okay, so the Master did it, and it's just got on nighttime. That's, great. And the only other character that's around is Chimera. It's gotta be him.
In the name of the Galactic Republic and the Order of the Jedi.
Then that means it's less personal then, 'cause, oh, no. Gonna need time to process why people are doing certain things. Now she's going to think that she's going to be blamed for killing the Jedi, so she can't go out because then she'll be killed. But then that's turning into a more sympathetic villain because it's not her fault then, but she's a psychopath. What the? Floating down? It's the Master, isn't it? Yeah.
What is that?
It's interesting. The teethy grin. It's coming off very creepy. This is terrifying. Okay, this does feel terrifying. This is good.
Watch out! Run!
And just flicked her away like that. Okay, that's some insane ending, right? Oh, great. And I need to think about all of this. Okay, so this episode, so just consolidating it in my head. It was the race. That was what I wanted, but the conclusion, not that happy with. I gotta look at the positives. Look at the positives. We got more on Osha. Happy with that. We got so much more on her. We have now a clear journey for her to go on and something for her to work towards. We now know that she is defined by her past. She needs to move forward, and she's getting something. She's developing her Force ability. That's coming back to her, and she's almost. Seems like she's almost wanting to rejoin the Jedi. She had a little light in her eyes when she was mentioning it to Sol, only for him to put it back down. So he's still leaving it up to her to decide, and it's just like, oh, you can come along, but you don't have to be a Jedi, because that's what he thinks she wants. So at least there's something for her. It's still not that much for me to be attached to these characters, but at least it's something that I can get some satisfaction seeing their story go forward, and hopefully this arc gets completed. Yeah, other positives, I think ending. That was cool. Question like the logic behind it all, but the scene felt terrifying. Just looking at the technicality of the scene, it felt scary. The floating down, the almost coming from the blurry background to just very, very close to Osha, and the creepy smile. It felt very creepy, felt very unnerving. Love how that made me feel as an audience member. Looking at sort of how that works in lore with Star Wars feels different, feels iffy. He floated down. That I get it, that makes it more creepy. Seeing someone float down is unhuman, it's weird. We haven't seen Force users do that. We've seen them do jumps, not float down like that. It makes it feel more creepy, but overall, does that... Again, I feel like this whole thing, it works outside of Star Wars. With Star Wars implications, it doesn't work that well. Yeah, the scene itself, that was good. I can enjoy the scene without thinking of the bigger picture. Thinking of the bigger picture, it draws questions. Like this huge, giant, powerful pushback. Does Anakin ever do that in Clone Wars or anything? I feel like he's done some Force pushes, but never something that pushed a whole army back. Maybe with the droids, but people, and like other lights of that, and like the giant smoke cloud, that feels very big. And like the flicking of the hand, it feels like they want him to be very powerful. That's it. It's given off a lot of power, but it feels like he's more powerful than what we have seen from like other Jedi who are meant to be very powerful. Yes, we have seen Ahsoka try and stop a ship, which I think was one of the most powerful things that she's done, but that took a whole lot of effort and she did fail. Trying to think of other, because that was like way above what we normally see from Force users. The other normal Force sort of things we see are jumping, which is not very strenuous. We've seen normal Force pushes. We've seen telekinesis. This felt much more powerful than a lot of what we've seen, and also effortless. Just thinking of that implication, it feels... We also, red lightsaber. So yes, wielding weapon scene feels very scary and unnerving, but red lightsaber, that indicates Sith. But then, no, it doesn't have to be Sith. It just means that whoever had this lightsaber has been able to mess with it. And I've been told that to make a red lightsaber, they need to bleed the crystal and do stuff like that. I think I've been told that it's basically a Jedi needs... No, the bad person needs to get hold of another Jedi's lightsaber, kill them with it, and then bleed the crystal and turn it red. That's how apparently that works. Not sure how that works with like Darth Maul, Vader, I imagine Palpatine, but Maul, that feels a bit out there considering he's kind of young and he had 2 lightsabers like that. For 2 Jedi to go missing and 2 lightsabers to go missing, that seems out there. Ventress as well, Dooku, I feel like that could work, but then they didn't realise it was him for a while. But then, no, Yaddle, he could have done Yaddle, but then he didn't kill her with the lightsaber. Then I guess he could have used her lightsaber and then turned it red. So it works, I guess, but still feels odd. But now in this guy, this would mean that this guy has, unless it means to kill the South before you. That would make sense in Anakin's case. That would work then. So if the Jedi lose themselves to the dark side, it's basically their dark persona killing their light persona. That's what happened with Vader and Anakin. So I guess Vader bled his own lightsaber because it was Anakin's lightsaber. So it's killing that part of themselves. So that works then. So this guy, we did basically confirm that he must have been a Jedi before. That's what the green woman said, that he was a Jedi. That's as much as evident. And so yeah, it's a fallen Jedi at the very least who's turned their lightsaber red and killed their old self. I still very much think it's Chimera. And my theory of him being multiple personalities, that's sort of gone away now, because it's very clear that this guy, even in his bumbling state, is trying to lead May down a certain path. He's basically teaching her, giving her options and encouraging her in the lessons that the Master is trying to teach. And then just he happens to show up at the end. It's got to be him. Yeah, then I guess the negatives of this, which I think there are a lot, which is a shame again. At least this is better than the 3rd episode. This is better than the 3rd. It's more in line with the other 2, but it's more... The way I'm viewing it, the first 2 is like a pie chart. Not a pie chart, a line graph. So the first one was like it was okay. The second one, better. Third one, steep decline. This one, gone back up. Not as good as episode 2, and I think slightly under episode 1. Mainly because they killed the Wookiee Jedi off screen, which is a complete waste, I'd say, of a character. Because it's, again, these 3 Jedi are now dead halfway through the show, and I feel nothing towards them. And they're meant to be, like, important or an impactful death. Nope, he is just a sack of meat now and just dead with a lightsaber cut through him. That's all I feel to him. He's just nothing. And it's the same exact thing that happened with the first 2. I feel nothing towards them, and their deaths should be meaningful. There's emphasis behind these characters or whatever they did, and I don't feel sad or happy about their death. I feel nothing. Like the Wookiee Jedi in itself, it should have been cooler. I mean, to go down like that and just be sat in the chair, I'm assuming that the Master must have just done it. I'm hoping, I'm going to just think in my head, Master had a fight, it must have been an epic fight, it's a Wookiee Jedi, put up a good fight, Master killed him, and then just arranged his corpse in the chair for fun. I'm going with that. I do not want to believe that the Wookiee Jedi just sat in the chair and had his, like, sort of, his chest cut with a lightsaber. Don't want to believe that, because that just seems kind of stupid, to be honest. A Jedi just sitting there and allowing a lightsaber to cross through their chest. Going with, there was an epic fight, and the Master simply just shoved the corpse there for fun. That's the only way it can work in my mind. To at least have the Wookiee Jedi be there. Yeah, then on the other stuff that this episode did, it mainly had the Jedi walking around for the entire episode. At least the other episodes had them do something. Because, again, this one focused on Osha at least. We got stuff from her. But the rest of the Jedi, this would have been a perfect opportunity to at least do something with them. You're on a planet with a bunch of weirdness. You can build up Osha, but it can also build up the rest of the Jedi. And it did nothing. It's all, whenever it feels like an opportunity to do something with them, it just goes back to Osha. Both Yord and Jackie, they had moments, but it was just to build Osha up and do something with her. Yeah, I feel like the only character they are building quite well is Sol. Really like him. He feels very Qui-Gon-esque, and he feels like he's giving a lot of options to Osha. He's never forcing anything on her. But like the most weirdest thing in this episode was May's weird turn. So that basically means that the killing wasn't personal to her. It almost means it's like personal to the Master. He has now killed one of them, so it wasn't even necessary for May to kill them. That's what it means. She does not have to kill any of them. It's not necessary for whatever she's trying to do, because the Master has done it himself. And it is such a big contrast in motivation and just whatever she is, because the third episode basically confirmed that she's a psychopath. She started a fire, told her sister that she was going to kill her. You can't just blame that on a kid being a kid. No kid does that. That is psychopathic behaviour, actually trying to kill another child and not value their life. You can kind of stress it a little bit if they don't know the person, but that's, again, a very big stretch. This was actually the sister, someone that you've grown up with. Yes, you can say, oh, I wish you were never born. Oh, I'm going to kill you out of, like, sort of a childish sort of mannerism. But to actually do it, that's a step over the line into psychopathy. That is what this is. So to have her now be good and be, like, sort of brighter, this felt like she was brighter. It felt, the way that she was written here and acted, she felt brighter. Doesn't line up with everything we now know of her. And again, she is a psychopath. She tried to kill her sister and actually tried to do it and set her room on fire and ran away. That is psychopathic behaviour. To then ignore that, if you could ignore episode 3, I feel like that, yeah. Cutting episode 3 out makes this work better. Episode 3 just sort of drowns the show in, again, inconsistency. Because now they're flipping around May's character, doing weird stuff with that, and a change of motivation, not change of motivation. Now I can't tell what her motivation is. It's going back to her sister. But now, from her childhood, it's clear that she just wanted her sister to basically be another version of her, that they were the same. We don't know if she's accepted that they're different. We've seen none of that, and it does not make sense with what we have seen. All the deaths have been personal, especially the one with the floating one. I think his name was Torben. And it was very clear that it was almost cathartic for her to kill these people. She wanted Torben to go to the Jedi Council and confess his crime. So it's clear that she has a personal vendetta against them. So to give that up so quickly is not in line with her character. And it just seems odd and it's inconsistent, which is just annoying. It's like she could have been a cool villain. It was getting to that point of her just being a psychopath, wanting to do evil and being the apprentice to this master, which apparently she doesn't know. There's a lot of changes I would have made to this show. I'd have made the master and apprentice have a much more closer bond and have May be much more evil, and then have the story unravel where the audience can start to be conflicted between who they want to root for, the Jedi or the Sith, Acolyte, whatever. Right now it's very evident that whatever the witches were, they were in the dark side, and if there's for an audience to see that, it's very clear which way they would lean. It doesn't create a lot of sympathy for them. Yes, the kids were young, blah 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 blah, trauma, whatever. Jedi clearly had some involvement, which May is now blaming them for, but now she's not blaming them for because she is now going to confess because she wants to be back with her sister. It's just awkward. I mean, this could have been a compelling story with having two masters, one Jedi, one Sith, both raising a twin and teaching the twins in their different way of the Force. The audience gradually gets to learn what separated them, and it can sort of make people choose between which side is right, which side is wrong, which one do you want to root for, and see where the story goes from there. So far, it's not doing that. It's painted with a very broad brush of showing the Jedi to be either annoying. We have one Jedi so far that I like in this show. The rest, we have one Jedi that I like, and this is the time when Jedi were just massively around. And only one that they've painted in a good light. The rest, is very clear that they're meant to be quite bad. Either corruption, either whatever happened in the past, the way that they're viewing the galaxy and the Force. That is not good. So it feels like the writer clearly has a bias to which side you should prefer, which doesn't make sense when that side is the one that's going around killing people and being psychopaths. Okay, to begin, this episode did build more on Osha, which I am happy with. I do like that they've now given her a more fleshed out sense of what she's doing and given her a clear direction for an arc that she needs to go down. We know now that she's defined by her past, and really the only way to move forward is for her to... Okay, so it's very clear that the only direction for Osha to move in is to accept what happened in the past, which is right now she can't. That is the clear thing that was evident through her talk with Yord and Jackie, that she can't move forward. She is defining herself through what happened in her past, and it's not letting her to grow as a person. So that's what she needs to do. She needs to overcome that and no longer be defined by it. So at least it's given us a clear story direction for her. It's an arc that she can overcome, that I can hopefully be satisfied by at the end, which at least gives me some sort of attachment to the character, because still right now there's just nothing there. Soul has way more attachment for me than any of them. Osha right now is just coming off as very bland, and I feel like you could replace her with any sort of other person and just give her this story as well. She just doesn't have this sort of... She is not hooked into the main sort of role of main character yet, which is just annoying because this is episode 4. This is halfway through now. So this is really bad that you haven't nailed down the stars of the show that are meant to be carrying it forward. That is disappointing. And the same goes for May. May was actually a lot stronger with just being a developed character, only for episode 4 to kind of ruin it. You had this villain who was going around killing Jedi in a very personal way. Good setup. This sets that there's clear implications of what she's doing, and she's getting some kind of satisfaction out of doing it. Her whatever she did with Torben set stuff up. That was clear. She needed something. She needed them to die to grow. That was what her journey was. Having them all go, she can do something from that. It was on with the Master. Now we know this was the final lesson, to kill a Jedi without a weapon. For some reason it's just these 4, and now 1 has been taken away from her, so now it's only 1. Episode 3 established that she is a psychopath, so setting up good villain. It's clear that she doesn't value life, and now she even gets joy out of, or something out of their death, that's something beneficial for her. That is good. Now this episode set up where maybe she felt hesitation to taking their life, saying that they're unarmed, and it's almost like coming off as if she feels bad about doing it. That's conflicting the psychopathic side of things. That wasn't great. And then to just fully flip it around and just her turn on Kymir and try and turn herself into the Jedi. It's no longer a personal vendetta against the Wookiee or Soul, so that she's now moved past that. No problem. She can get over it as long as she's with her sister. That's not great. It ruins what could have been a good villain, having her be fully invested in her cause, and now that just being thrown out the window. So I feel just thinking of Vader. When he met Luke, he didn't immediately give up his goal. He wanted Luke to join him. That was what he did. He didn't try and turn himself into the rebellion so he could be with his son. That was not it. He thought his children were dead because he thought they died with Padme. He knew she was pregnant with them. And immediately when he meets Luke, doesn't go along with him. He wants him to join, or he wants to kill him. He even cut off his arm or hand, whatever. Yeah, hand. This is similar in the way that you have a villain who has their motivation and goal, yet that you bring in someone that they love and they're attached to, or they have a history with, that they could change for, but a good villain will try and they'll stick with their core motivation that makes them a villain. This now no longer makes May a villain, and it just leaves it up in the air, when she has been building for half the show to be the villain. It's too late to conflict. Yes, you had one scene with the mask guy right at the beginning. You've heard about him, but what the audience has now seen is May taking on the villain role. And I get it, he's a shadow villain where May is meant to be the opposite, but again, that links back to Vader and Palpatine. You have Vader being the main face of the villain, with Palpatine being in the shadows, the much stronger one in the background. But Vader still carries the villainy forward, because you have this shadow villain in the background that you can't really see how powerful they are, because Vader takes the spotlight. He carries the story. He is the face of it. May should have been that, and it was building to that, only for it to be completely swapped out. So now you have the shadow villain who's no longer going to be the shadow villain. He has to be the face of the villainy through the other half of the show. If you want to do this, do it near the end, where you can have the shadow villain come in and take over, when you can still have May be the shadow villain only to be redeemed, which is what Vader did, because it seems like they're trying to redeem her now and be with her sister and to make her brighter and more bubbly and more just positive. It's just odd. It's just very odd what they've done with her here, and it's just honestly disappointing, because she had potential to be a good villain and to be in line with what we've seen from Vader. But I feel like they just tried to change it for the sake of changing it. You had a perfect sort of, I guess, format to follow in line with what a good villain could be, and they've gone against it for whatever reason they've decided. So yeah, Saul proving yet again to be my sort of only favourite Jedi in this, or the only Jedi that I actually like in this. He is doing very good. I like that he has this very powerful connection with the Force. He feels like Qui-Gon. He feels very in tune with the Force. He's being able to sense where the Wookiee Jedi is. He's doing all of this, and I love that they're like showing off how good he is and how close he is with the light side of the Force. It makes him, and they're writing that well. They're writing that someone who is close with the Force can do this sort of stuff. So immediately it sets in the mind for an audience, this guy's just overall good if he's with the good side of the Force and he's that in tune with it. And writing-wise, I do like that they're showing that he's always giving May options. He's never forcing anything on her. Yes, he came up to the end to try and convince her to come, but he never said, oh, it doesn't mean you joining the Jedi again, because he doesn't think she wants that. He's giving her options. Yes, come on, maybe you'd want to join the Jedi again and be back with me and stuff like this. But it's never like a forceful thing like the Witch Coven did. And here's what a Jedi should be, giving options. If you want to be a Jedi, you can be, but you don't have to. With the witches, they were just going to force the children into another type of thing that looked it was in the dark side. So it was forcing children to go into the dark side of the Force. That, in that instance, yes, take the children out of there and bring them to the light side, because the light side is good and the dark side is bad. I don't care what anyone says about the whole balance thing that you need light and dark. No, the Force is sentient. It has a will, and its will is the light side. The Jedi do the Force's sentient will. This dark side doesn't do that. It uses the Force for their will, their own purpose. We don't see the Jedi's will enacted through their use of the Force. We see the Force's will enacted through the use of the Jedi. That is light side. The dark side is the twisting of it for someone's personal gain. That is what the witches did. They wanted children to continue whatever they were doing. They used the Force to create children. That was not the Force's will, that was their will. So that is dark side. And they were going to continue putting children into the dark side, which I'm fully on board with the Jedi stopping. In other circumstances, when a Force-sensitive child is born to regular parents, give them the option of whether or not they want to go to the Jedi. But I guess guide them and say, you have this power. No, they don't even need to guide them. If they don't going to join, the Force sensitivity without like an immediate draw will, I guess, subdue and sort of die off. They won't become anything dark or light when they grow up. That's the whole thing why the Jedi get them young. It's kind of safe just leaving kids alone when they're not going to have a light or dark influence. They're just going to grow up neutral and they're not going to be able to use the Force in the end. If you have children going to be taught in the dark side, they're going to end up being evil. Don't do that. Take the kids away from that. But yeah, then I guess just thinking of Chimera, because I feel like I'm going a little bit of a rant that's far more connected to episode 3. So Chimera, I'm convinced this guy is the guy under the helmet. He's the only one that wasn't present at the end battle, so... Oh no, he's here. Yes, he was here for the whole time. It's Chimera. And even in this scene, it kind of destroys my idea of it being a multiple personality thing, where he doesn't realise who it is, and he just owes the guy that... It's so obvious that this guy is him, either multiple personality or just him being a bumbling facade to try and trick people into thinking it's not him. It's so evidently him. Like throughout this entire episode, it showed him being just clumsy. Yet in the episode 2, I'm not going to say last episode because I'm trying to ignore episode 3. In episode 2, it showed his darker side when he was talking to Osha. Right at the end, when he said, you look exactly like her. That was far darker, not in line with what we have been seeing. Proving that there is another side to him. That's all you need to basically confirm that this guy is more than meets the eye and he's aware of it. So it's not multiple personality thing. This guy is trying to trick people into thinking he's not it, but he's doing a bad job at it. Yes, he might be tricking the characters, but it's very obvious to the audience. Now, when he's with May, basically every single scene, it's him trying to teach her or encourage her to go down the path that the Master wants. So we can take from that either he's very loyal to the Master and just doing it anyway and he's just a bumbling fool, but it also says that if they didn't say that he owes the Master, it would be more convincing that he's just a bumbling idiot. The fact that it says he owes the Master means he's doing a job to pay off his debt. This is that job. That is why he is here. Otherwise, the Master would send him somewhere else to bring back the debt, because the Master is obviously the bad guy. So he is where the Master wants him to be, and that is with Osha and also teaching Osha. That is what the Master has told him to do. And that makes him May's teacher. So I wouldn't be surprised if this guy even teaches her lightsaber moves and she's just like, oh, don't tell the Master I'm doing it wrong. The fact that they have this guy teaching her and encouraging her and giving her options and just saying, oh, I'm sure there's some way you can kill a Jedi without using the Force. Just think about it. It's not impossible. You could do this, you could do that. He's giving her the answer. which he should not know. It proves that he's at least gone through the lessons that the Master wants her to do, proving that this guy is the Master, and he's now trying to pass on his knowledge to his student. I think I'm more annoyed by just how blatantly obvious it is at this point. I think I like his acting. He could be a very good character. It's just he's very obvious that it's the bad guy. If they can do the bad guy well, which from the looks of the final of this episode looks like they can do, I will be happy if they can make the villain good. I love villains. I love good villains. If they can make him just intimidating, scary, I will be happy. But then again, I just have to think, but then that works just thinking of the show on its own. Connecting with the Force is going to need a very good explanation. Because again, it's a Sith who's, they exposed themselves to the Jedi. That's what they did here. The Sith have exposed themselves to the Jedi if he is indeed a Sith, which by all accounts seems like he is. See, I think right now, he has my interest. Looking forward to try and finding out what is going on there, but it's very obviously Chimera. And I guess just looking at the Jedi as a whole, still no attachment and no sort of inkling of them being good. I was hoping that since this was set 100 years before, it was a century before the Phantom Menace, I was hoping we were going to see like a better side to the Jedi. Okay, this one is still as riddled with political controversy and all, like they're controlled by politics. That is what they're doing. Vanessa is proving that they are controlled by, they're keeping secrets, they're controlled by the politics. They won't go to the High Council because that means it would get the Republic involved. And then that would get political scrutiny. And then that would call into question whatever the morals of the Jedi are, which I think is what they're going with. Then I guess that does work for the show, but at large I was hoping... I'm just sad because like, it's gotten rid of my hope for what I wanted to see through the Jedi Order. I wanted to see a better Jedi Order, but it's clear that the writing of the show wants the Jedi to be the bad guys here, when that should have worked better closer to the end of the Republic. This is a century before the end. There's a lot that can happen in a century, but to see that it's already, you would think that the downfall of the Jedi would happen sooner when they're this involved with politics. They are clearly here. They are far more entrenched with being on the right side of the Senate and keeping secrets within themselves than doing the will of the Force. And then, so from here, they still have 100 years left, though they're going to keep doing this, and only then Palpatine takes control and destroys them. And it feels like on this journey, they're going to destroy themselves anyway. But yeah, looking smaller at, I guess, Jackie and Yord, I was hoping, again, that we get more on them, because they still feel very bland. Yord has got no, like, good scene of him. He's just coming off as annoying to me. I know some people like him, but right now, he's just annoying. Trying to get Osha's weapon from her, when going into a dangerous situation because a civilian can't be armed. It's a confliction between whether or not he trusts her or whether or not he doesn't. The only reason... Right, you're sending a civilian into a dangerous scenario. You're going to want them armed so they're going to be able to protect themselves. She is kind of the main thing here that you need to protect from May. You don't know what she's going to do. She could become more open and to negotiations, or she could try and kill Osha, because that would reinforce her motivation if she really is that entrenched with where she's at. She is basically defined herself through Osha's death. If she was going to go completely insane, she'd kill Osha to make sure that her motivation doesn't get corrupted by the fact that she's alive. That should at least signal to the Jedi that Osha would be in danger here. Plus, they're already going into a dangerous part of the planet. You want Osha to be armed. So for Yord to try and take it away means that he thinks that she might use it against him. It sets that he still doesn't trust her, even though she's been exonerated. It's annoying, if anything. They know that she's been exonerated. They know that she is good, or at least neutral. They also know that she left the Jedi on her own accord, which probably created some hostility between them. And that's what Yord just keeps on doing. He's being hostile towards her because he thinks that her leaving the Jedi is a personal attack on his choice in life. I hope we get some kind of redeeming scene from both Yord and Jackie, because each time in this episode, it went to reinforce something for Osha. It let them realise something about themselves. For Yord, it was when Osha wanted him to do what was necessary and taking down May if need be, but he basically said that, no, I'm not going to do it, you're going to have to do it. Too bad. So that, again, it doesn't mean that Yord will be able to make the tough decisions. He's passing it on to Osha, which builds Osha up, but then does nothing for Yord. Jackie, it was about how the defining by past thing and what you should define yourself with. But again, it wasn't about Jackie, it was about Osha. So it's still nothing on Jackie, just Osha, which is a shame because this episode was all of them just walking through the woods, and it was a good opportunity to develop them, but it only developed Osha slightly. think the Wookiee was the biggest disappointment for me in this episode. I was so looking forward to just seeing a Wookiee Jedi and just to see what they can do. All we've seen is him walking around in the woods like the rest of the Jedi, which is annoying. But again, I've got to think positive outlook of this episode, but this is not a positive. They've just killed him. And the way he died, he's sitting in a chair with the lightsaber through him. I have to assume that the Master put him there for fun. There's no way that this Wookiee Jedi went down so easily from an attack from the front with the lightsaber through the chest while he was sitting down. That makes no sense. So in my mind, I'm assuming it must have been a huge epic fight, which for some reason they cut and we just didn't get to see, and now the Jedi is dead. Just the writing choice to get rid of him is again the same with the 3 Jedi, where I feel no attachment to their death. Their deaths are meaningless to me. Yes, they mean something for me, but they mean nothing for an audience that do not know these characters and there's no attachment there. Their deaths mean nothing. They are just sacks of meat that have died for me. There's no significance. They should have. It's clear that they want them to have significance for the story, but the audience does not know whether to be happy that they are dead or to be sad that they are dead. There is just apathy. And they have done it again. And halfway through the show, 3 out of 4 are dead, leaving only Saul left. So he's going to become the focus. And at least with that, I hope he doesn't die. That is one thing I'll say is good. They have made me hope that he does not die out of the 4 Jedi, so I'm glad with that. So he is at least something. But that should be the case for all 4 of them. It would have made their deaths much more meaningful, and it would have made Osha's acts of killing them more important. The fact that she's just killed people is, yes, it's dark, but it would have been more impactful if I actually cared about these characters, and then she went and killed them. Now it's just there. The Wookiee's death also sets up interesting stuff, interesting in the sense that May didn't kill him. So we know that basically means that it was not necessary for her to kill him, because someone else killed him. The Master is the one that did it. She's the one that's apparently told her to go and kill these Jedi. Now he's gone and killed one of them. So that means that it was not necessary to begin with, unless the Master has fully abandoned May. Which I guess then means the Wookiee's death backs up the fact that it is actually Chimera, because she turned on him and then he has now turned on her by killing one of the Jedi that she was meant to kill. It's just very awkward writing, and I wish it were better, because the story could be very interesting, and it's just a shame how it's been done, because the writer has had a bias to who they want the audience to feel sympathy for, and that shouldn't have been the case. It should have been neutral and allow the audience to choose whether or not they want to root for the bad guys or the good guys, or not the bad guys, the Jedi or the Sith or the Acolyte, whatever. And should have said that they've both done bad things, but they've also both done good things. You can understand each side and let them sort of have a debate on which one to follow. Now it's just very clear that the writer is clear to the audience that the good guys, the audience clearly has set which ones are good and which ones are bad. Yet the writing is still trying to say that you should be rooting for the bad guys. And you should be rooting for May now that she's changed and she wants to go back to the Jedi, wants to go back to her sister. It's trying to follow the sister's journey when you're not attached to the sisters, when they're surrounded by much bigger things that take more importance. But yeah, then I guess the pacing for this episode was kind of just a mess. It felt just... They were walking through the woods, and then the ending in the big fight is just... Now I guess pacing was okay. It's just structure of the story that's, again, just weird and odd. You had the Jedi doing basically nothing throughout this entire episode. You didn't develop them. They were basically all extras for Osha, who didn't even have a lot herself. And that is just a shame that that whole scene was put to waste. This was 30 minutes of an episode where they could have done a lot, but they chose to do nothing. As for what's next, I'm hoping that it picks up from here. The ending is giving me hope. It's giving me something with the villain. I like villains. The way they've shown him being super creepy, I'm happy with. That it showed that they can make a creepy villain. So I'm happy with that. But then I also have to worry about the implications for the lore and how they're going to tie in this Sith to it. If he is a Sith, if he isn't a Sith. But I'm going to have to wait to see more on him. Yeah, so now it left off. Giant fight between a bunch of Jedi. This one guy who seems incredibly powerful. May is stuck hiding in the Wookiee's house. Osha has been flung like a rag doll into the forest. And now you're left with the Jedi versus the... I'm going to call him a Sith just by automatically. Doesn't mean I think he's a Sith. It's just what I'm referring to him as until they confirm whether or not he is what he is or if he's something different. I'm just going to call him Sith because it's easier to say than an ambiguous Force user. It'll be interesting to see what happens next with this guy revealing himself halfway through the show, messes with the shadow villain type thing, messes with May sort of stuff. I'll be impressed if they can sort it out, but halfway through the show, It feels like it's going downhill rather than uphill, considering the most important parts of the show, the main characters, I do not feel attached to yet. That is sort of the measure of the show. Yes, it might be good world building, but the story is meant to be following these two characters who have not been developed that well and I'm not attached to yet. And this is halfway through. So the fact that that hasn't been done yet means they either got to do it next episode or it's just going to keep going downhill if they can't get these two characters done right. Yeah, with that said, that does bring me to the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you thought about this episode in the comments. What did you like? What didn't you? And I will see you in the next one for episode 5. See ya!